All right, so you have the grooming brushes to position these fibers and play with them. Is it possible to sculpt just one awesome feather? Of course. Of course you can go through and sculpt one awesome feather and place it. That's totally fine. And then use it as a proxy with fiber mesh. That's where it gets a little tricky. So here's the thing. Let's see. What's a good way of looking at this, or a good way of explaining this? You could use NanoMesh, you could use micromesh to instance geometry along this geometry, right? To instance your one perfect feather. It's when you want to actually make that into something that you can use that can be rigged that it becomes a problem. So you can make one beautiful piece of geo and then NanoMesh it. So let's walk through that. All right, that's a good example. So let's take this area. Hit Control W and make that its own poly group. There we go. Make it something we can easily recognize. So I'm going to make this its own poly group. I'm going to go into Tool, and let's go to a polysphere, and then bust this down to a cube. There we go. Let's go ahead and mirror and weld. So we get a center line. Oops, delete higher, mirror and weld. There we go. So now we have our center line. And let's go ahead and mirror and weld on the Y. Should have done both at the same time, but I didn't, whatever. All right, so now let's make our perfect feather. Or at least we're going to call it a perfect feather for now. Let's go ahead and insert edge loop here. Let's flatten out the bottom. Switch from move over to QMesh, single poly. It's fine. So there we have a little stem. All right. There we go. Now it's a plane. Let's delete hidden. Go ahead and subdivide it. Without the smooth function on. Or rather, let's use dynamic subdivision. See if we can get a better result here. Yeah, not really. That's fine. All right, so we have one subdivision now. We're dealing with a 55 polygon object. Maybe that's higher than you want to go. Maybe we can start deleting some of these edge loops to make this lower. I'm going to delete lower because this is the silhouette that I want. Subdivide again. And I guess this doesn't have to be a plane. It's just going to work better as a plane. Your poly count's going to shoot through the roof if you start instancing a bunch of dimensional feathers all over the place. Maybe if you had 1 or 2 in key points, it might be fine. But for stuff that you're going to have instanced around, I would not make this dimensional. All right, is that enough? We turn on our smooth now. There you go. And actually, you know what? See, our silhouette is looking at 55. That's not too bad, I guess. Let's not sculpt it. Let's model it. The only thing is I'm going to end up getting thickness here, which I don't want. I guess I can delete those faces too. So I'm going to hold on, Control Shift, go to Select Lasso. Since everything with the Z modeler is, well, a lot of it's driven through everything, but a lot of it's driven by polygroups. And this is going to be a little bit of a cruddy feather. I should merge these at the top. Well, it's going to be a cruddy feather if I don't do that. So let's go here. Let's say it's not symmetrical. That's odd. Should be absolutely symmetrical. Oh, it's on the Y, that's why. I'm okay with that because I'm going to fix it right now. So let's stitch this here. There we go. All right, so now that's moving to a point. Maybe we want that point further down. There you go. All right, now let's take this in QMesh, QMesh polygroup all. That gives us some relief in the surface. So anyways, I'm going to say this is our feather. You could sculpt it, whatever. I'm at 89 faces. Let's hit Shift F. I'm going to delete the back side. Well, I guess I don't have to. It's just that planar geometry coming out of geometry that has volume isn't the best idea in the world. I'll fly with it just for the sake of this demo. Just know that you wouldn't want that. All right. So now let's go ahead and go back to our griffin here. And actually, I'm sorry. Let's go to our feather first. I'm forgetting my order of operations. I'm going to angle this feather the way that I want it to be drawn out. So the way that I want it to be drawn out is at an angle like that. We'll try that out to start. I'm going to go to brush, and I'm going to say create insert mesh, say new. So now I have this feather insert mesh. Now let's go back to the griffin. And from this insert mesh, I'm going to say brush, create NanoMesh brush. Hit Shift F. And with the NanoMesh, it's going to say insert NanoMesh. That's a function of the NanoMesh brush. All right, so actually, just so I don't mess up anything, I'm going to hold down spacebar over my points. I'm going to say do nothing. On the edges, I want to make sure it says do nothing. Cool. So the only thing I'm doing is insert NanoMesh on a poly. And I'm going to say, let's step down one more subdivision. I'm going to say polygroup all. I'm sorry. Wrong polygroup. Insert NanoMesh polygroup all. There we go. And now, this is where it gets tricky. New features. Let's duplicate this guy. Let's delete our subdivisions on the duplicate. And let's do that again. That doesn't look too bad. We're getting some junk down here, but it's nothing we can't fix. We're getting a different directional flow here. So let's go to NanoMesh here. And let's see what we can do. So let's go. Which one do I want to do? I don't want random. Let's go to edit placement. Nope. Let's step back. Sorry. One more time. Let's try fit. Fill. No. Constant. No. That's not going to do it. Let's go to proportional. That's fine. Let's go to. We try rotating it around, but that's not, I don't think that's going to do it either. Step back. Y rotation isn't going to do it. Z rotation isn't going to do it. I mean, that'll help us place some of these. Like I just average those out, right? But others along the center, maybe I'm just doing too broad of an area, right? So maybe I might want to do a smaller area. But honestly, Marcos, this isn't a bad idea. And it looks like I'm only, maybe I have 600 polys. It's not too bad. It's not like in the random distribution. Let's go to size and play with that. But it's still not flowing exactly the way that I want it to. But of course, I could play with that inside of when I create the insert mesh brush and the direction, the camera direction. The alignment tab. Yes, that's what I'm missing. Thank you very much, Ash. I'm totally staring at all this, and I'm totally neglecting all this. This is a feature that I honestly haven't played a whole lot with. So let's go to align to normal. No. Align to short edge. No. Align to long edge. No. Along near edge. No. Line by point order? No, but maybe that's because I have a rotation set here. And I have a rotation set here. Ah, that's not too bad. You getting happy with this, Marcos? All right, let's rotate here. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna, well, I think it's still gonna be the Z rotation. It's not too bad. Although, I don't know about them all hanging down like that. The other ones on the side doing the same thing? No, they're doing two different things. But you know what? I could pull one from the side that I like and then just double it over. This isn't bad at all. So let's see, actually making this geometry instead of just an instance. I'm going to have to remember for a second where that button is. So replace NanoMesh from current brush, one to mesh, all to brush. I'm trying to remember, it's one of these guys. Let's try that out. There we go. So it's one to mesh. Here we are. And then what we would do, that's odd. Because it should be independent now once you go one to mesh. But I'll take a look at my chat because I bet you Ash has, oh, you know what? That's why. Okay, that should be it. All right, so let me Control Shift tap on, there we go. Except for I want that whole thing to disappear. And be left with just the feathers. Ah, it lied. It was saying it was like 600 polys. I'm like, that doesn't look like 600 polys. It's 50,000 polys. So that was what I was afraid of, was right here. It was the same thing that we ran into with a fiber mesh. It's cool, but we might be breaking the bank. On a boss character, it's cool. Yeah, it does look awesome. I agree. But on a boss character, maybe we can get away with something like this in spots, right? But we're totally breaking the budget. I know that we can get characters up to 100,000 polys in Xbox and PlayStation. I know we can go up there, right? But we have to think about how many characters on the screen. Is it an MMO? Is it there's different dynamics that play into it. So it's a cool technique for sure. Maybe there's I don't know. Maybe there's something else that can be done with this. Maybe this could be our base for our sculpt. So we don't have to hand sculpt everything. We could go in and say, I'm just going to start feeding you guys some ideas now. So we've gone off on a tangent, but I love it. And I hope you guys love it too. And I hope this is some helpful stuff. Hopefully it's stuff that you guys haven't played around with a whole lot. It's stuff that I haven't played around with a whole lot. Even in the beta, I didn't really play with NanoMesh a whole lot. I was mainly playing with the Z-Modeler brush the entire time. Let's go ahead and mirror and weld. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to delete hidden first. Now let's mirror and weld. There we go. So at least we have consistency on both sides. At least we should. Yeah, we do. All right, so what we can do then is go to our original mesh. Let's step up in our subdivisions. And let's try just projecting an area and see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and hit solo mode. Do you ever use single poly planes with just an alpha texture? You could get away with a lot more that way. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what I recommend for hair, right? And I was showing single poly planes with fiber mesh, but Marcos wanted to see if he could build, like he said, one perfect feather. He wanted to build one perfect feather and then try and duplicate that all the way around. So that's what I was demonstrating. But no, definitely with one plane with just a texture, like just a square plane, and you throw a feather on there and you throw a transparency map, you're good to go. If you want to start sort of animating that, though, that's where you run into the issue. You want like at least like three segments, 2 segments to play with, I guess, because you have the, I guess you only need 2 segments, 2 segment minimum. Yeah, it won't bend otherwise. Yeah, otherwise it'll just twist and it'll look like garbage and it'll stretch all over the place. All right, so let's try this. Let's go to project. Projection distance of 0.02. Well, if I have the topology to hold it, if I had the geometry to hold it, that would not look too bad, especially if I was doing something kind of mechanical. You know what? Just because, let's go ahead and subdivide up one. I want to see how well it projects. But no, good call, Marcos. There's definitely something there, and it gave me an opportunity to show, to walk through NanoMesh with you guys, and well, I should say fumble through NanoMesh with you guys. But hopefully it was an educational experience for you. Let's project all again. It has the potential to be cool. It's kind of chunky and crappy, but I think there's potential there.